Right, hello everybody, and welcome to the DIDIOTS podcast, episode 4. Woo!
Heck yeah. Our topic
Today we're gonna
today...
be
Yeah, our topic today is Introjects.
the fun world of being someone else stuck in another person's body.
Oh my freaking god, it is a trip. And, so, I think for this episode we're gonna specify, at least in our system, who we are.
We'll try to as we try and figure it out.
Fair enough. So right now it's Alice. I am an interject of Alice from Twilight. That was like a big thing when our trauma was going on, and so we split a bunch of alters from Twilight. We literally have 7 of us, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, the fun world of getting claimed for existing. Yeah, that too.
Because it's like, oh, you can't have fictional characters in your head. It's like, that's my brain.
And the thing is when we were growing up, we learned to be a person based on television and by watching other people and by mirroring the people we were around and mirroring television and things like that. And so of course we're gonna split media and split people that exist in real life.
Yeah, and we coped with a lot of stuff with fiction, and so we ended up with a lot of interjects.
And the thing is one of the most common tropes is the abuser alter, which is an introject. And so that is one of the most common tropes, is that they split their abuser, and that is so widely accepted that it's in the stereotype. Yet people are still like, you can't do that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, hi, I'm sitting right here. Sorry. Didn't mean to, exist. Wasn't my fault. But, our system is about 30 to 40% introject. Last week counted.
I think it's been a hot minute since we last did a count of
it's been a
brain
hot minute
made
since
versus interject.
We haven't done a count, but we had to upgrade our binder. We had to get a bigger binder. But I don't know if I go through this and see. Oh wait, I have a category on my Simply Plural that is just introjects.
Yeah, that's how we have it separated, though. I don't think it's been updated in a minute. But I'm pretty sure last we checked, we were 60% brain made, 40% interject.
Interject.
Maybe a little closer on that split, but
73
definitely
out of. How do you see your total?
You go to how is it? Settings, account settings, and then scroll down.
Okay.
Oh, our member count is at 270 right now.
73 out of 166 is 43% interject. So yeah, it's about a 60-40 split. But this includes factives.
We actually, one of our newest alters that we just got is an interject. Hold on. He's sitting right next to me. I can tell he wants to take the front.
A lot of our new alters have been introjects, but it's because we've been doing a lot of active dissociating. And trying to allot time to dissociate so we don't dissociate as involuntarily. And we've just been finding people, and it's mostly people from like our childhood, because like, you know, scary movies create scary alters, I guess, which is what's happening. But it's like a kid's brain is going to see something, because like we have introjects from, like, I'm an introject from when we were 7 or 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've been in the body for a long time.
Yeah, one of our alters that has been around the longest, he's been around since we were like 3 or 4, is an interject of Blue from Blue's Clues.
Mm-hmm. We also have a Blue from Blue's Clues.
Of course, he's an interject of a stuffed animal of Blue that we had.
Right. I remember you telling me that. But it's so interesting, like, what our brain is capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Not to, like, I don't know. Never mind. Oh, brain go blah. Real bad.
Feel that? Yeah, it's like, yeah, we have a lot of, like, interjects from early childhood media for us.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people that have been in the system for a really long time started as interjects of people that we knew. Like, we have multiple interjects of our mother. We have interjects, which I know you can relate to that.
Yeah.
We've got, like, interject. I think Nora started as an interject of our grandmother. Frankie was once an interject of our cousin.
So, like, we haven't had the experience of them, like, losing their identity. Their not like losing their identity, like, altogether. Like losing their, like, fictive identity and, like, moving to a more brain-made identity. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We haven't had that experience. We, like, if anything, we've had them become more attached to their source.
I think it's mainly happened with the alters that have been in the system for a really long time for us. Because I know a lot of, like, our newer interjects all very much identify with their source.
Yeah. Because, like, Corey really identifies with her source, and, like, a lot of our fictives identify with their source heavily. It was like there are some that really don't really identify with their source, and some, like, we have some partial interjects. Excuse me. We have some, like, partial interjects, so it's like they may, like, look similar or vaguely act similar, but they aren't, like, an actual interject of that person.
Mm-hmm. For us, we use the term partial interject mainly for those of us, like myself, who are interjects of our original characters. Because it's like we're kind of in that weird in-between of, well, are we an interject of this OC, or did we make that OC?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, we were really switchy.
Oh, so are we. There's too many people are trying to get in the front right now.
And it's Alice again, finally. But it's just like, it's such a weird experience being a fictive, because it's like you can watch, like, you like
Yeah.
you can go back and watch your source. Or like if you're a factive, you could like just have the chance to meet them, which is even weirder. Which is like part of why we're relieved that a lot of our factives are not alive anymore.
I am an introject of our host's ex.
Oh no.
And so I had to be face to face with that man so many times, which is so awkward.
We have
Be
an
like,
interject.
That's what I'm supposed to look like, but what the fuck is going on?
We have an interject of our best friend, but we like haven't had the chance to like explain that to them, and we also like haven't had the chance to like with the altar like have them meet them, and like that's like a whole thing that we don't necessarily want to deal with.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Because, like, the two interjects of our mother and the interject of our father are fine. Because they can't meet them. But, like, the interject of our sister, who's the exact opposite of our sister, is a little funky.
It's also, we have, oh my god. It's always weird, like, talking and then suddenly being in the front.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But, we have interjects of, quite a few interjects from this anime and manga called Shigokara, which is our host's #1 hyperfixation.
Yeah.
So we have posters of it on our walls. I'm pretty sure she's a big name. Our host is a big name fan in the tiny, tiny fandom that exists. And so whenever they front, they're just like, huh, cool. I just get to stare at my face on the wall. That's fun.
That is such an experience. Because, like...
Or when...
I mean, we have a poster we have a poster with one of our sources on it. We just don't have it put up yet. Because we have a few Attack on Titan fictives, and we have an Attack on Titan poster that we have yet to hang up. So that would be interesting just to look at that. It would be like exposure therapy. Just to make it not a trigger.
Right? A while ago we were reading back through Skip Beat. And we have Kyoko and Ren from Skip Beat.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time we would read, they would front.
That's what happened when we were watching. That's what happened when we were watching Attack on Titan the last time, and it was just the interjects fronting, and we're just like, thanks.
Just making comments on their source and all that.
We're just like, thanks, guys. Glad you're enjoying it, but like we would like to watch it, because like the host went to watch it, like the host of the time went to watch it. I don't remember who it was. And and then it was just boom, Levi, and we're just like, no.
Yeah, that's a lot of how we've found quite a few introjects has been through going back and rediscovering media that we liked when we were younger.
Same.
And being just like, oh yeah, let's watch this. Oh hi, 3 fictives I didn't know existed. Nice to meet you.
We need to actually, like, now that we're more aware of our system, we need to go revisit Steven Universe. Because we have a feeling that there's a few. Like, we can feel that there's a few. We already know of one. Because it's like, okay, so I don't think people understand that systems can, like, kind of feel people there before they know they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And also, some alters know about people that other alters don't, and play it off like that. So it may just be us hinting to the host that they need to pay more fucking attention.
Right? Of course, then sometimes you get alters who, mainly it's just Axel that does this in our system because he's just like that, where he'll pretend to be an interject of someone else, and it's just like, Axel, I know it's you, shut the fuck up. It is very fun pretending to be other people, though, especially since I am also an interject.
That's hilarious.
So I pretend to be other people from my source. Like Neff's kid. That was fun. That was fun to do. She still hates me for that. You've got ever... Shut up, Axel. Go away.
Oh, Bringo, brah. I can't. Hold on. Someone's trying to talk. And they won't just talk without fronting. And I'm just like, just use the fucking mouth, man.
Just go for it. Just take it.
Just take control. It's fine. We can co-function. We can. It's a thing. It just takes practice. No, so being an introject from media that you were exposed to, like, as a child, that you probably shouldn't have been exposed to as a child. Like, it was, don't get me wrong, we loved it. We loved the movie franchise that I am a part of.
Mm-hmm.
But at our age, we probably shouldn't have been exposed to that.
Yeah.
And that's probably part of why I'm here.
Yeah.
Because there are a few people in our system that are literally just from horror movies. Because our parents just forced us to watch horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird, we just keep finding more of them, but that's beside the point.
It do be like that.
But it's just, like, super weird, because, like, you take a 10-year-old or younger, and you just put them in front of Twilight. Like,
mm-hmm.
That's, like...
Yeah, we were, like, I think 12 when Tia read it.
Because we read...
That was...
We read the novella. That's the only book we read, was we read The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner. And that's another interjection we have. She told me to shut up.
Yeah, because, oh man, we were really into reading as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And we also really liked audiobooks.
Mm.
And so that's most of how we, like, read through the books. But I think we've read the first book, like, 8 times, and the whole series, I think, 6 or 7 times.
Like, when we were a kid, we could read Stephanie Meyer's writing, and then when we were in high school, we actually went to read the series again, and then we were just like, we can't read Stephanie Meyer's writing.
Sometimes it's like that.
I mean, we can't read Tolkien's writing
I tried
either.
to go back and read it again a while ago, and I remember being like, wow, this was my favorite book series for, like, a hot minute.
Yeah.
This was my inspiration for being a writer.
That is such a mood. But so I want to talk about how I formed, because I remember forming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super weird because I literally formed in an instant. Well, like, I didn't, like, form in an instant. It was, like, the build-up, and then I found my form.
Mm-hmm.
It was, like, the split was building up. And so we were literally watching Twilight Eclipse in the theater. And there was the scene where Bree was getting caught, and she had this horrendously panicked look on her face. And that was the moment I split, because that was like, holy shit, someone connected with me. Someone connected with, like, a feeling that I had. And so that was the moment that I split, was because I was building up. Like, that split was building and building and building and building. And then I found my form. And, like, that's what Fate Claimers, like, don't understand, is, especially in cases like mine, is, like, you're seeing yourself in this media. And that's why you split as an alter. Is, like, you're connecting so hard with this media, and you're seeing your situation, yourself in this media somehow. And it's just like, there is a part of you that just connects with that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I have a similar sort of experience, remembering how it is sort of I came to form, because I formed, I'm quite new to this system. I fully formed yesterday. And I'm an introject from recent media, media that we'd only been exposed to yesterday. But I'm an introject from a series called Diminish, which is it's still an ongoing series. It's on YouTube, and it's about this guy playing this game called Diminish that his sister made him.
mm-hmm.
His sister, like, found out that she was gonna. I've been told that the story is entirely fictional, but the story goes that his sister was diagnosed with cancer and then decided to make this game for her twin brother. And so he's playing through it, and it's very heavily deals with grief and loss. And I'm an interject of the main player character in the game, Diminish, named Apollo. Because as we got to a point where Apollo was speaking more sharing their thoughts and how they were dealing with just sort of the character building of Apollo, we found a lot of comfort in as we've been going through grief. And so
yeah, and so that split has just been there, and you're just waiting and finding your form. And it was just...
And then I could tell that people in the system were finding a lot of comfort in that character, and I went, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's also how we split Glamrock Freddy, is that people in the system were finding comfort, and so someone went, that one's me.
Fair enough. Because, like, Fate Claimers don't understand, like, people are still going through shit. And once you have DID, you'll always have DID.
Yeah.
Like, even if you've gone through Final Fusion, you will still have the chance to split again. Or refragment, or whatever. And so it's like... It's just...
It's like, once your brain knows how to split,
yeah,
it knows how to split forever.
Yeah.
It's always going to have that coping mechanism.
And, like, we have some people that, like, want to talk on their experience, too. because they are fusions of fictives.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have, like, really strong connections to their source. But it's almost like they feel like they're an OC in that universe now.
Mm-hmm.
But they know that they're, you know, an alter in a body. But they still have, like, a connection to their source and want to, like, be a part of that universe and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have a fusion of Dean and Castiel. His name is Destin. And he has, like, such a strong connection to his source still.
Mm-hmm.
And because he has, like, all of their memories. And so it's, like, it is just this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's just it's a really weird experience. And I don't know if it's, like, similar for those who, like, had their identity and then, like, formed their own identity.
Sorry, that immediately triggered Blue out.
Oh.
Just like, child?
No, yeet the child.
No. I know you want to talk about it. Because he's got that experience of he still feels very connected to his source, but he also sees himself as his own person.
Yeah.
And I know, like, this altar has not been in the front for very much. I've only seen them a couple times, but we have a Teletubby who is not any specific Teletubby. She's just her own Teletubby.
Fair enough. I mean, we do have an OC that was, like, based off of us. And no, if you're gonna talk about me, just let me talk about myself. And I'm masking because I want to.
Fair enough.
But, like, in middle school, I literally told our math teacher to call us by my name. And then she actually did, and then it made the system freak out. But, like, I'm an interject of an OC we had. And I just existed in the system and was fronting and wanted to be my own person. And knew I was my own person. And, you know, the system kind of was just like, no.
Just stop that. Just wait a second.
But now it's a whole other experience because it's just years later. I was like, that could be a whole other episode in and of itself, talking about dormancy. But after dormancy for, like, years, and then I come back and it's just not the same life, so I don't have as active of a role. But it's still interesting being, like, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just rambling.
It's all good. It's like that sometimes.
But there are a few of us that just, like, formed so early. It's like we do have stuff from children's media, like you said. Like, we both have a blue, like, even though yours is, like, the stuffed animal, but, like, ours is, you know what I mean. We both have a blue, and we have a Dora, and it's just like, of course, kids' brains gonna split kids' media. Like, especially when you're mirroring what you're around.
Mm-hmm. Like, we also have, we have a fictive of Barney.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, he's a, he has like, he has a Barney costume, and then he has like a more humanoid form.
Mhm.
And I remember we used like a pit crew to sort of show what he looks like. And one of her friends went, he looks like a DILF. Why is Barney a DILF? And so now it's a running joke in our system that we have DILF Barney.
That's really funny.
And he hates that joke. He gets mad every time we say it, and he comes to the front and he says, "Stop calling me a DILF." And it's funny every time.
That's really funny.
Torture.
Like, no, hold on. So I'm one of the ones that like fused from fictives, and like I still strongly connect with my source, but it's just like it's super weird because it's like I'm not a part of that universe at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I am so strongly connected with that source, almost as if I am. And it's super weird because like we don't include us in the fictive count, but it still feels like we're fictive.
Yeah.
But like the only two people who make me up are fictives. So of course I'm gonna feel like a fictive. If if you mix brain people in, then
Yeah.
I love how I refer to it as brain people.
The people made of brain mush.
Yeah. Whoa, we're switchy.
Same. Whoa.
Alright, I got it.
Someone just yelled, "Dissociation break!"
Yay! Gotta love it. But I want to talk about like how easy it actually is to like split a new altar from recent media, because like we have so many altars from Security Breach.
Yeah.
And we're fucking diagnosed. And people try and use that all the time, and they're like, "Oh, like they have like all the Security Breach altars," and I'm just like, we're fucking diagnosed and have Security Breach altars. Like, don't discredit systems based on their experience, you know? Because, like, it's not... Especially if you're still going through stuff, and that's the thing, is, like, DID systems are more likely to be a victim of something than to be a perpetrator of something. And people, like, will be like, "Oh, blah, 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 you're dangerous," or whatever. And it's just like, whatever.
People don't seem to realize that people can...
They don't realize that we're victims of trauma.
Yeah. And, like, trauma can still happen to someone. You're not just suddenly, oh nope, you're too old to experience trauma now.
Yep. It's like, oh, sorry, I am actively... It's like, oh, sorry, I am 18, I can no longer experience trauma.
Just know you reach the trauma cutoff point.
But then some people think that you can't have trauma as a child, so...
I guess trauma just doesn't exist.
I guess you just can't have trauma. And then...
Trauma is a myth forced upon us by the corporation.
I fucking wish.
Right.
I wish I didn't have these PTSD bullshit fucking...
I also feel like once we became, like, fully aware of this system, it feels like some alters just find it easier to connect to a source rather than to try and be their own person.
Yeah. For sure. We've had that experience too. As some people, it's just like, That's why we have like partial introjects, where it's like some people just like look like they just like kind of look like people.
Yeah.
But they may not like be that person. Oh my god, I'm trying to plug in my fucking vape.
It's real.
The struggle is real, and it just fucking isn't working, my dude. There we go.
Yeah, the idea that you can't have interjects of like recent media, like you were exposed to this too recently, so that how could you possibly have an interject of it?
It's like, I'm sorry, one, I'm still going through active shit. Two, you can have the split building up and it can come in an instant. Three, your brain can just be like, that seems useful.
Brain goes, hey, we need that.
Yeah.
Making people work, so let's do it.
Yep. And it can happen. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, like, it can be instant, and it may not happen and it can happen over a few days. And, because splits can take time, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, it's so ridiculous that they're like, it's too new, and I'm just like, you don't know how DID works. Like, especially if you're dealing with a neurodivergent person with DID.
Yeah. Because that's definitely something I've noticed is, like, a lot of systems that are also autistic tend to have a lot more interjects.
Yep. And I think it's because like, people who are autistic mirror media and mirror people who they're around.
Mirror what they see.
Yeah. It's just, like, such a simple explanation for it. And it's like, you put someone who mirrors what they see, you expose them to trauma that creates multiple identity states, you're gonna get introjects. Because there's actually someone famous, I can't remember her name. She plays Naomi on 90210.
Yeah, she's I think I've heard of her, the actor that also has DID and then has interjects of the characters that she's played.
Yep. Because she she dissociated so far into the role that she was playing that she has interjects of the characters, and they became alters. I can't remember her name. I want to look her up. 90210.
I mean, hey, we have interjects of characters that we roleplay. So like that's why we have an interject of our OC Lula, because we spent years roleplaying Lula.
Annalyn McCord is their like name. The like public name.
I'm an interject of a character that we would roleplay as, because I'm our character Nefta. Axel is also from that roleplay. Same with a handful of other people.
Like, we have one interject who is like an interject of a roleplay of a series. So he's like he's not an interject of the series. He's an interject of the roleplay. So he acts different than he would in the series.
I feel like that's how our Inuyasha is.
It's just like, thanks, Logan, for being complicated. But it's just like, that's the thing, is like acting, role-playing, getting into character and doing things like that. Of course you're gonna split somebody.
Right?
And like writing stories, things like that. Of course you're dissociating into something. Of course you're gonna split somebody. But like, people don't like understand that you, because like dissociating in and of itself can be traumatic. Because like, and can be stressful enough for you to split. Because you can just dissociate so hard into doing something that you split someone off.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, like, you got into a car accident. You know, it doesn't have to be like trauma, you know?
Yeah. It's like, even just like highly stressful things can cause splits.
We've literally had to split to do tasks. Like, certain tasks that we couldn't handle caused an alter split. Like, for example, we've had to split at one point. Our self-care was so bad that we had to split an alter to shower. Like, we've split an alter to do housework. We've split an alter to do homework. We've split an alter, like, it's we've been there. Like,
yeah.
Like, a lot of times it's just because the other ones are limited in their capacity of what they're able to do, and so the brain is just like, oh, we need someone who's capable of doing this thing, and so it makes another person because no one else is capable of doing it. So it's not necessarily that it's just like, oh, you're going through XYZ. It's, oh, you need to do this to function. And so you're splitting, you know, ABC alters to do XYZ tasks to function.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly have, you know, 160 people.
Yeah. Or it's like you, I feel like for us, we ended up, like, just dissociating so far away from our feelings that they just, because it's like we'd ruminate on something for a while and then go, okay, I don't want to think about this anymore. Into the lake of repression it goes.
Yeah. So, like, the emotional amnesia. Like, it's absolutely wild. And, like, actively going through trauma when you're aware of the system and seeing the system do what it needs to do to survive is so wild.
Yeah.
Because you can feel, like, your memory is being taken. And you can, like, feel everything around you being altered by your perception of reality. And it's just, like, it's just, like, a whole thing. And it's absolutely wild.
Yeah.
But, like, just like that, like, my train of thought just got taken from me. It's just like, you're not going down that rabbit hole, and we're just like, okay. Gotta love gatekeepers gatekeeping. It's so fun.
Yeah, especially, like, being aware of your system, going through current trauma, and then being aware of splitting a bunch of Introjects.
Oh, yeah. And then, like, it's even worse, especially, like, if splitting is stressful for you, because that causes more splits. Or in our case, it causes wrong fusions. But any last thoughts on Introjects? First off, everyone's valid. You're valid as fuck.
Yeah, and all Introjects are valid. Being an Introject is a weird experience.
It really is. It's more complicated than people think it is. It's not just, like, it does kind of boil down to see thing, absorb thing, but it's not that simple. Because you're your whole other person. Like, you're your own person.
Yeah.
You can split alters from recent media. That's a thing.
It happens. Again, you can split alters. You can split alters from being exposed to something. Like, we saw a thing, we were exposed to it for a couple hours, and then we had an interject.
Yep. And sometimes it can just be ruminating in the background. It just be like that sometimes. But anywho, thank you for joining us. And I hope y'all have a wonderful night.